This is modern life. Never before have we had to consistently work such long hours, juggle so many tasks, and push ourselves to remain relevant in a largely capitalist world. Overcrowding, crime, pollution, global pandemics are all magnified in our minds because we are constantly connected to the internet every moment of the day. In our effort to stay ahead, we endeavour to be more productive, hustle to secure the next promotion, and insist on competing with each other over every facet of our modern lives. Stress will inevitably catch up with us, and often it takes the one thing that most of us take for granted: going to sleep. In this video, I'm going to go through my advice to help you get better sleep. I'll go through the evidence and the things you can do to improve your quality of sleep. The first thing to remember is that improving your sleep takes time. Think of it like jet lag. Sometimes it can take weeks for you to get back to settle into a normal rhythm. So to start with, I would monitor your sleep carefully on a notepad. Record how tired you are, when you fell asleep, when you woke up for each 24 hours. Looking at the data as you start this journey will help you see the results before you actually feel them. Most of us are constantly tired, and it takes time to pay back our sleep debt and feel refreshed again. So, let's start with the obvious. Caffeine is the most abused chemical in the modern world. It takes about 8 to 14 hours for it to pass through our system to allow us to sleep adequately. So if you want to sleep at night, you really have to stop drinking tea and coffee after midday. On saying that, however, there are studies that show that even 1 cup of coffee in the morning has negative effects on sleep that night. Caffeine works by stopping the brain from recognizing a chemical called adenosine. The levels of adenosine slowly build up during the day until it gets to a critical point where it forces your brain to go to sleep. Caffeine stops your brain from realizing the levels of adenosine are high, and so you feel awake again. Once the caffeine wears off, however, the brain is flooded with all the adenosine it previously didn't realize was there, and suddenly you feel an overpowering need to sleep. Adenosine is cleared from the brain during good quality sleep, and you need enough of it to clear it all out so you can start the next day afresh. On saying that, however, many people slip into a stimulant cycle where they drink coffee during the day and then use alcohol at night to help them sleep. Alcohol may appear to help you fall asleep quicker, but actually alcohol impairs your sleep quality rather than benefiting it. Being under the influence of alcohol during sleep leads you to wake up more frequently at night. You aren't really aware of these arousals, but overall it harms your quality of sleep. Alcohol also robs you of dream sleep. Dreams help you make sense of the information you have gained during the day, and it helps you make associations and connections in your brain. Without dreams, you'll find it very hard to learn new things, and your memory is affected. Even alcohol drunk once a week can interfere with your ability to learn new information, even if you've learnt it days before. Nicotine and other medications are also associated with poor sleep, but these chemicals often have a withdrawal effect as well. So stopping smoking, for example, will lead to worse sleep in the short term, and it will take time to notice the benefits of stopping these drugs. There are 2 main reasons why sleep doctors like me say that you should eat your supper early. Stomachs take about 4 to 5 hours to empty themselves, so going to bed with a full stomach leads to heartburn and throat problems. When lying on your back, gravity can't keep the food down, so it all seeps up into your throat. That's why some people in the morning have a feeling of a lump in their throat, and they need to constantly clear their throat during the day. The other reason is that after eating, the gut dumps a load of sugar into the bloodstream, which lasts about 2 to 3 hours after a meal. This sugar high reduces your chance of falling asleep quickly. If you can avoid foods high in carbohydrates and fat, this will in fact improve your levels of deep sleep. And eating healthy food obviously has other benefits as well. It is worth waiting after a meal before exercising. It does depend on the type of exercise and the size of the meal, but generally waiting 2 to 3 hours or so would be ideal. If you remember that after eating a meal, the gut demands more blood flow from the body so it can digest the food you've just eaten. If you then go and exercise vigorously, you are directing the blood away from your stomach to your muscles or other areas of your body. The next question is then, how long do I need to wait after exercise before I go to bed? And this has been debated, but in my opinion, it is probably not ideal to exercise within the last 2 hours before getting into bed. The adrenaline rush and the endorphin release would seem a less than ideal preparation for sleep. Also, your body needs to cool down prior to going to bed, and this can take a few hours after exercise to be able to lower your body temperature enough to achieve this. Given that there are a lot of reasons not to exercise close to bedtime, I often suggest exercising in the morning if at all possible. Getting outside in the daylight first thing in the morning will help you wake up and avoids having to time your exercise so carefully later on in the evening. I would definitely continue to exercise, however, as there is a lot of data that shows that exercise improves sleep among other beneficial effects. If you want to exercise in the evening, I would recommend something light, like walking or Tai Chi. Even the medieval monks used to say that after a meal, you should engage in reading, light walking, and conversation. And this brings me to my next point. We need to learn to disengage from the world around us. I think this is the most important part of this video, mainly because we are so bad at doing this. Sleep is not just rest. It is the mind's way of organizing the data it has received during the day. It allows us to order our thoughts, make connections, learn new skills, and solidify memories. It is important to wind down before sleep so you can get the most from your sleep. So many people want to cram in as much as possible into their day and don't let their minds process the data that they have been exposed to. Try working on giving your mind time to consolidate its thoughts and experiences each day. You should find after a week or so that your clarity of thought, productivity, and ability to learn new things improves considerably. Now, I'm not insisting that you all meditate for hours each day, but try and create space for your thoughts to breathe. Try not to eat in front of the television in the evening, but instead sit around a table and talk about the day's events. Socialize. Even doing the dishwashing after an evening meal can be time spent in reflection. I believe these triggers help the brain to signal it is time for bed. If you have children, you'll know that routine is paramount, and it helps them get to sleep on time without being overtired or stressed. We ought to realise that the same processes work for us adults as well. Sticking to a bedtime routine that works for you will lay down the signals for your brains to tell you it's time to sleep. In evolutionary terms, we ought to remember that we are just cavemen with some new toys to play with. For tens of thousands of years, our ancestors spent the evenings in front of a fire, talking about the day. You'll notice that staring into a fire creates a hypnotic trance in many of us, and personally I don't think this is a bad thing. Fire also has the added advantage of not being a particularly bad type of light for our brains at night. Since the invention of the light bulb, we humans have been staying up later and later at night, to the point that the word midnight is no longer an accurate description. Our brains use the light at sunset to signal when we should be going to sleep, but flooding our eyes with artificial light disrupts our sleep cycle and makes it harder for us to fall asleep. So avoid looking into a screen for as long as possible before going to bed. It keeps you awake when your brain actually wants to sleep and doesn't allow you to unwind properly at night because you're consuming new information without the ability to process it. It might be easier also to sleep in a room which is uncluttered and peaceful. Cleaning out the bedroom and keeping your resting place clear of distractions I think is important. 5 minutes of tidy up can also help you order your thoughts. Also, remember to make your bedroom as dark as possible at night. Use blackout blinds if necessary or some heavy curtains to stop the light from coming in. Flooding your bedroom with sunlight in the morning will help you wake up without feeling groggy. People are often told to have a bath or a shower before bedtime. This is to allow us to clear our minds, but also to raise our body temperature up for a short while, only for it to drop again afterwards. A drop in body temperature prior to bed is another signal to our brains that it is time to sleep. The ideal temperature for us to sleep at night is 18 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Our caveman ancestor brains use the drop in temperature at night to signal when it is time for us to go to sleep. So you can use this to advantage to encourage your sleep. If your bed partner, however, refuses to drop the temperature to this level, try leaving your hands and feet outside the duvet. This is a good way to lose heat at night and so you can keep comfortable. Orthopedic and spine doctors will often tell you to sleep on your back at night. Sleep doctors, on the other hand, will suggest that you sleep on your side. This is to allow your jaw and your tongue not to slip back and block your throat, but allows it to fall forward so you can breathe better. Also, if you have a deviated septum, which means that one side of your nose is constantly blocked, sleeping on the side that is blocked will help you open up the other good side of your nose. Most people require 7 to 8 hours sleep each night, but then most of us don't get that on a daily basis. I would start by working out what time you need to wake up each morning, and then minus 8 hours from this. This time will now be set as the time you should be going to bed and turning off your lights to try and get some sleep. You should aim to wake up at the same time every morning, every day of the week. Lying in on the weekend messes around with your routine and should be avoided. The plan is that you should wake up naturally without needing an alarm clock, because waking up with an alarm clock is an awful experience, and why would anyone want to start their day that way? Setting an alarm for when you should be going to bed seems much more civilized. If you find yourself in bed but unable to sleep for over 20 minutes, then you really ought to get out of bed and do something that doesn't require turning on lots of light. Avoid staring at a clock and waiting for sleep. Getting up and writing a journal or reading a book or meditating might be useful. The aim is not to feel tired during the day. You should not need a nap in the day, and you certainly should not be feeling tired in the first few hours after waking up. If you are very tired, even after 8 hours sleep, you ought to get checked out by your doctor. I will do a video soon about the reasons why people are tired during the day, and there will be more details if you subscribe to my newsletter. But for the time being, good night and sweet dreams.